finale of White Lotus came on last night. Let's talk about it. Spoilers ahead if you haven't watched yet. Please come back later. A lot of storylines were kind of resolved. There's still some questions that have not been answered, but overall, I really did enjoy the finale. I just knew Chelsea was going to pass away. I just knew it because she's just too pure. I was not expecting her and Rick to go down together. We do see Rick return to the hotel. He was having a nice conversation with Saxon, and she sees him. She runs to him on the beach. They embrace. I felt really bad for Saxon in this moment because I feel like he is now on a journey of self-discovery. Chelsea has given him all these books that it's going to help him on his journey, and I think he really just cares for her, and then he's watching her run to a man that has really just kind of ignored her for the last several days. Obviously, Chelsea and Rick are like yin and yang. They are like made for each other. But I did kind of feel bad for Saxon in that moment as he watched her like embrace Rick on the beach. I mean, surprisingly, Saxon seems to be the one that has been kind of growing the most out of everyone in this entire season. Back to Rick and Chelsea. You see them, they're at the hotel eating breakfast. The man that he thought killed his father comes back to the hotel. They have like kind of an altercation. Clearly his bodyguards are aware of Rick. Rick is like, gots to go. And Chelsea's like, don't do anything stupid. I know you're going to do something stupid. So much stuff leads to this moment. He took the bait. He just couldn't ignore his revenge tendencies. He wanted to go and cause pain to that man who turned out to be his father. I feel like that was the most obvious twist this whole season. Like, of course that man was your father. And you killed him. You killed him. And because you did that, Chelsea got shot. Here we are. I mean, this moment where he's carrying her away. They fall in the water. I saw someone point out that like when they fall in the water, it kind of looks like the yin and yang symbol. It just kind of wraps up their story. Just a tragic love story. I just wish he could have like seen the love that was right in front of him from Chelsea instead of like kind of mourning the love he never got from a father figure that he never knew, you know? Since we see Guy Talk in the back, let's talk about Guy Talk. So Guy Talk has kind of been the moral compass, I feel like, in this entire season. He's a sweet guy. He's kind of said multiple times, like, I'm not the kind of person that can be violent or cause anyone harm. He clearly recognized Valentine and his buddies, and he approaches Valentine, and Valentine knows, like, hey, you know what happened, you know what's going on. So he approaches Guy Talk later and is like, hey, please don't tell anyone. Basically pleads with Guy Talk, please don't say anything because it's going to ruin me and my friends' lives. So Guy Talk is kind of confronted with a choice. Conversation with Mook earlier kind of says, like, I can't be a bodyguard. I can't harm someone. I just can't do it. How Mook is a little bit like, well. End where he is the one that stops Rick. It's kind of heartbreaking because he literally took the shot to become the bodyguard, to kind of get what he wanted, what he thought he wanted. Better position, to kind of prove to Mook that he was, you know, like this man. And then he got what he wanted. He became a bodyguard. You see, like, things are better between him and Mook. Makes me sad because I feel like the innocent part of himself, the gentle person, is gone. And then he never ratted on Valentine and those guys. I don't know. He probably should have done it, but he didn't. He chose not to. So Belinda's storyline, the way that they wrapped up this story, and they didn't really even wrap it up, I was just like, well, that's kind of poetic. So Zion and Belinda go to Greg. They're trying to like kind of work the situation, and basically they say, we'll be silent if you give us $5 million. Greg at first is like, no way, but they're like, you got so much money from Tanya, so you could just give us 1% of what you got from Tanya. So she does get the money. She basically tells her son, gotta go take care of some business, then we can leave. And she goes to Porn Shy and she's like, hey, by the way, gots to go. Thanks, you know, for everything. We're not opening a business together. Basically, she does exactly what Tanya did to her in season 1. And like, I feel like this situation might be a little bit different because like would have had to keep a secret from him about how she got the money. I'm sure he already kind of knew because she already disclosed like, hey, something weird's going on with this guy at this resort. It chose money over love, you know. I don't know if they were in love, but it's just unfortunate that, you know, money can change anyone. Even Belinda, who we thought was kind of like a moral person, and not to say she's not, but like she literally did what Tanya did to her in season 1. But her and her son go off into the sunset. They got their money, but I highly doubt this is the last time we're going to see Belinda. I'm just mad that Greg didn't get any sort of justice against him because like Greg is still just doing whatever, and Greg needs to be punished for what he's done, but whatever. So we do see a conclusion for the Ratliff family. The storyline was stressing me out the whole episode. I just love this picture. I love seeing them when they arrived and when they're leaving the boat. Like, they're completely different people. You have Saxon, who is truly trying to better himself. Like, he is starting to work on himself. He has a moment with Lachlan where he's like, don't worship me. Don't, you know, become a man on your own. You're good. We got Piper, who came back from the monastery and just was like, you know what? I am spoiled. I don't want to live like that. I want comfy AC. I am who I am, and I'm spoiled. And then her mother, Victoria's thrilled. She's like, great, I'm so happy. And she takes her shopping. Tim is starting to realize, like, oh, my kids kind of suck and they're not going to be able to survive being poor. And so he's still having all these like ideas of how to like eliminate his entire family. So he goes to the fruit that, he was instructed not to eat. And he's told like the seeds are poisonous. So he decides to make pina coladas later on in the night. And he decides to exclude Lachlan because he has a conversation with Lachlan. And Lachlan's like, yeah, I could live poor. I don't need money. So I guess Tim kind of looks at Lachlan like, you are the purest soul. You deserve to live. But everyone else can kind of go. So they go to dinner. He asks for pina colada stuff. They go back to the hotel and he makes it with the seeds from the poisonous fruit. He gives everyone a glass and he basically just says, love y'all. And as they're starting to take the first couple sips, he just like smacks it out of Saxon's hand and he's like, you know what? No, it's the coconut milk's bad. Don't drink it. Unfortunately, leaves some of the seeds in the blender that Lachlan finds the next morning. And I don't know why you wouldn't wash that out because like that's gross. But he makes a protein shake in the blender, and of course Lachlan starts to experience the poisonous fruit. Pepper and Saxon have a bit of an interaction in the morning. They like completely ignore their brother who's like dying by the pool, Victoria kind of sees him sitting over there and is like, see you at breakfast. And, he just starts dying. He sees God. Obviously, we see Tim run out and see him. He's holding him in his arms, having like a wake-up call. I think this is exactly what Tim needed to realize like what is important in life. He just needed to wake up from all this like weird daydreams he's been having of like ending it for his family because he doesn't think that they can handle life. But thankfully, Lachlan does not pass away. He comes to, he's fine, shares a sweet moment with his dad. Yeah, but thankfully no one died via pina colada. Yeah, I'm kind of sad he didn't tell everyone what was going on screen because like I really wanted to see the family's reactions, especially Victoria's reaction, but you know what? They'll be fine. They're going to figure it out. I think one of the more wholesome endings for any of the characters was Kate, Jacqueline, and Lori's ending. Jacqueline comes to Lori's room and is like, hey, I really want to be friends. I just want us to be friends. And Lori's like, okay, let's talk about it later. And so you're kind of wondering, like, how is this going to end? How's this vacation going to end for these ladies? At dinner, Jacqueline and Kate are just talking. They're thankful for the trip. They're thankful for the time away. Jacqueline is like, it's so nice to be, with friends that will be honest with you, call you out and stuff. And then, Kate is like, oh, I'm so thankful for y'all. And then Lori is just honest. She's like, honestly, this whole trip, I've just been really sad. I've been sad. And she talks about like having no belief system, about putting her trust in all these things that failed her, like love and her job and being a mother and stuff like that. And then she realizes like, she doesn't need a belief system. She doesn't need religion to make her a whole person. Her experience is what makes her a whole person. A sweet moment between her and her friends because we have lived this life together. We have all grown up together. We've known each other for so long. They connect. I think it's really nice. I personally think Carrie Coon deserves an Emmy for that monologue. I thought that was such a great monologue. She did a really good job. I think Carrie Coon is one of the strongest performances of this entire season. Carrie Coon and Amy Lou Wood, to be quite honest. I think both of those women deserve Emmys. As close friends, as like sisters. I did think it was hilarious though that like, when they were taking the picture right before like everything went down, once the pew-pewing started, Carrie Coon was out of there. Lori just ran. And then like Kate and Jacqueline were like, oh God, okay, let's run. I just thought that was so funny. She ran so fast. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed the season. I mean, there's some things that didn't quite get like wrapped up perfectly, but I just think it was such a great season. There's so much to take away from the show. So much symbolism to like dive into. Mike White is a genius. This show is so good. I cannot wait to see what happens next season. Is anyone going to return from this season? I'd love to see more of Parker Posey. I feel like we didn't get that much of her the last couple episodes. I just really wanted to see how she was going to react to the news. I really enjoyed the finale. I thought everything ended kind of the way it should have. What did y'all think about the finale?